The importance of the quarterback and head coach combination has brought a lot of success to a lot of football teams, and I'll tell you why Jacksonville is in the thick of that right now.
You are Locked On Jaguars, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
It is your team every day here on Locked On Jaguars. We thank you for making us your first listen. I am Tony Wiggins, the host of the Locked On Jaguars podcast, that you can find right where you are right now, whether you're watching or listening each and every day, because it is your team every day. We thank you for making us your first listen. Also, shout out to the everydayers that join us each and every day here on Locked On Jaguars. We would not be here without you. We are the number one sports podcast. We are the number one sports podcast company in all of America. That's what we are. I just had to get that out there. Make sure you guys understood each and every word. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. FanDuel is officially in playoff mode every game day during the NFL playoffs. FanDuel is getting customers even more ways to get in on the action. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about why the commitment to Trevor Lawrence is satisfying, and the commitment to your quarterback is satisfying even if he's not the franchise quarterback. In this case, Trevor is. Why the optimism for Trevor and Liam, or for the Jaguars altogether. We'll do that in the middle, but we're going to start at the very top talking about coach and QB combos, especially the one here in Duval County, and that's why I'm so optimistic on the future. I am on record, and anyone who's been in every day for a long time knows that I was saying this even when it did not apply to the Jacksonville Jaguars. I said throughout history in the NFL, one of the things I've always said is watch out for those coach-quarterback combinations. When you can get that right, when they have a dynamic between the two of them, and they're both in their prime, and they're both hitting a hot spot, this is the time when good things can happen. I've used the examples of Mike Tomlin and Ben Roethlisberger, Drew Brees and Sean Payton. More recently, of course, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick. Continue to talk about these things. Andy Reid, most recently, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. I'm going to go through some teams, right? Teams that are still in it and teams that are vying for it. I'm going to go through all of them, in fact, and I'll show you where the Jaguars kind of rank with that kind of optimism with Trevor Lawrence and Liam Coen. And you'll be surprised by the teams that don't have the coach quarterback dynamic sold up to the point where you're confident and you're looking forward to, okay, we got a shot, not just with them individually, but those guys together. They're the two most important entities in your locker room presence, in my opinion. I think the GM is important. I think leadership is important, to be aligned with everything. But the two most important players are the coach who's navigating it and the coach on the field who's the quarterback. Quarterbacks still have a bigger impact on the game. They're not the only impact, but they are the biggest impact on a franchise. You get those two things right. If you get one or the other right, you can go to the playoffs constantly. If you get them both right together, you can start winning. And by winning, I mean the ultimate winning. And granted, if you can, in a 10-year period, go to 3 Super Bowls and get you one or two of them, that's considered winning in the National Football League. Let's go through some teams. Arizona, nope, they don't even have a coach. Matter of fact, they might not have a quarterback either. Baltimore, they got a new coach and an old quarterback who has co-signed them getting that old defensive coordinator back. Atlanta, they got a new coach. Do they have a quarterback? Is he going to like him? Because we see what happens when he has a quarterback that he doesn't. Yeah, Kevin Stefanski. We're going to go through it. Buffalo, they got a hell of a quarterback. Ain't got a coach, at least at the time that I recorded this. And who knows, he might have got the coach fired. Carolina, they got a coach. They might have a quarterback. Don't know. Cincinnati, definitely got a quarterback. The coaches are lame duck. The Bears, yes, they fit in the category with the Jaguars. The Browns, absolutely not. Got a quarterback, maybe. Got a coach, I don't know who it's going to be. Does he like the quarterback? We don't know. We don't even know if the owner and the GM like the quarterback. Dallas, got a quarterback. Denver, yes. Bo Nix, Sean Payton, at the hip, even though Bo Nix won't play anymore this year. Jarrett Stidham's going to step in. Detroit, yeah, they got them both. One of them you're worried about because you're worried about whether or not Jared Goff's going to last. Houston, don't know. They got a coach. Green Bay, sure. The Colts, don't know. The Rams, yes. The Jaguars, yes. I'm going in alphabetical order. The Vikings, no, don't know. The Chiefs, yes. The Saints, maybe with those two rookies, Kellen Moore and Tyler Shuck. The Raiders, nope. Giants, probably. The Chargers, yes. The Eagles, kind of. Yeah, I think. The Dolphins, no. 49ers, yes. Patriots, yes. Seahawks, sure. Absolutely. Jets, no way. Tampa, they're halfway there, kind of. Pittsburgh, they don't have a coach. Probably don't have a quarterback. Washington, okay, well, we'll see. I think so. The Titans, halfway there. See? So I probably said yes 7, 8 times maybe, right? If I said it 10 times, that's lucky. That means you put Jacksonville in a situation where they are in line, ideally, with a lot of teams that's going to be successful. Look at the 4 teams that's left. Rams, I said yes. 49ers ain't there. I said Seattle, yeah. I know it's Sam Darnold, but still, hell, whatever, right? And then you look at the other side, both yeses, 2 young quarterbacks, second-year guys with grizzled coaches. One a Super Bowl coach, the other may be the best coach who has not won a Super Bowl. Liam Coen and Trevor Lawrence fit into the yes category. And the yes category means we're on our way. Either we have been there for a while or we're on our way. The guys that have been there for a while, obviously Patrick Mahomes, right? The other quarterbacks, it was Lamar because he had Harbaugh. We'll see how it goes with Minner. Cincinnati is Cincinnati. But Buffalo, it was there until they fired their coach, and now you got to get realigned with another coach, and we don't know what that's going to be like. So, yeah, this is one of the things that I think gives the Jaguars an advantage over 75% of the teams in the league, that they're not on this list. And the Jaguars are new to it. They had Trevor Lawrence, but now they got the right thing with Liam Coen. And you can say, well, come on, it's just a 1 year. It's just 1 year. No, the 1 year, it's 1 year I've seen enough because I saw too many years where it didn't happen. And I watched this year intently, and nothing that they did happened by accident. Oh, trust me, the experience was in full flex, bro. They were winning games barely, to the point where Liam had to say, we don't apologize for wins. These things weren't easy. They weren't by luck. These things were hard. They earned them. They started to learn how to earn how to win, and then they started winning easier because the doubt went away, the fact that they knew how good they were down the stretch, and all of it coincided with Trevor Lawrence having a season where he's on both the as a finalist for the Comeback Player of the Year award and for the MVP on NFL honors. You don't get to that point after everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people in the media saying that you're a bust. You don't get to that point where Liam comes here and then things kind of fall apart behind where he left from in Tampa, and things started to thrive here in Jacksonville. You don't get to that point, man, without it being something real and something tangible. And right now, I believe that they are one of about 8, 9, maybe 10 teams at the most that have a combination of coach and quarterback that you could depend on. I'll tell you why that's so important and why it's so optimistic. If it obviously hadn't hit you yet, we'll discuss it here on Locked On Jaguars. All right, today's show is sponsored and brought to you by our friends over at TurboTax. Tax season doesn't have to take over your life, man. This year, TurboTax is making it easier than ever to just hand things over and off and move on with your day. With TurboTax full service, you can have your taxes done for you by a trusted local expert, start to finish, without the stress or guesswork. Instead of spending hours trying to figure out forms, you can meet with a local TurboTax expert in person or connect online. They handle everything from W-2s to self-employed forms and work to get you every single deduction. You can upload your documents, go about your day, and get updates right in the TurboTax app. For a limited time, you can have your taxes done by a local tax expert for just $150 all in. If a TurboTax expert didn't file for you last year, just file by February 28th. Take taxes off your plate and get back to your life. Visit turbotax.com/local to book your appointment today. Today's show is sponsored and brought to you by our friends over at Game Time. That's right, man. Y'all know what it is, man. The NFL season, we in full swing, man. We headed around the final stretch, and there's nothing like being at the game, the crowd noise, the energy. If you can get to Denver, good luck to you. The only place you might find tickets is going to be Game Time. And Seattle is the exact same thing. Watching from home is great, but being in that stadium for these moments, man, there's nothing like it. That's why the Game Time app gives you the advantage. Back to you, the fan. It's the hack for unlocking amazing NFL tickets and experiences in just a few taps. Pull Game Time up. Check it out. Upcoming games, those 2 conference games and the Super Bowl. That's right. You find great tickets, options almost instantly, as they say, instantaneously. Take the guesswork out of buying NFL tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNFL. That's LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download the Game Time app today and get back to being there live. All right, moving and grooving here on Locked On Jaguars, where it is your team every day. Beautiful Friday as we head to the conference finals, semifinal weekend in the National Football League to see who goes to the Super Bowl. There were so many hopes that the Jacksonville Jaguars would be one of those teams, but this was not the year. And Liam Coen says we just weren't good enough, and we have to come back and get better, and that is a refreshing attitude to have. One of the main reasons why I believe that they are going to continue their ascension is because of him, Liam Coen, his attitude, his fight, what he's made from, what he's cut with, James Gladstone, the alignment, all the way from EVP Tony Bi all the way down to the coaching. We might have some coaching continuity on the staff. Both Grant Udinski as well as Anthony Campanile have been on the job interview circuit. I think it's 2 and 3 now. 1 Udinski with Cleveland and Buffalo. And then Anthony Campanile with the Ravens that has been filled, the Dolphins that has been filled by his old boss, Jeff Hafley. And then the Cardinals came calling. So we'll see. But hopefully they've made a couple of changes already, but we'll see if we can get some more continuity. But the continuity with the coach and the quarterback is where we're at today. And that's why it's one of the main things, along with the alignment from the front office down to the staff. It's one of the main reasons why. Like, I have confidence in Trevor and I have confidence in Liam. I have a lot more confidence in Trevor because of the presence of Liam. And when you see proof of concept and you see things get better right before your eyes, I think sometimes we pay attention to the struggle of watching it actually birth itself. And then we kind of fall into the trap of thinking that struggle is what it is, as opposed to looking to the result, like the end result of all of the things that he was going through with Trevor and Trevor's been going through and how he actually got better. You saw him kind of rear the ugly head a little bit against Buffalo, but then you saw him go away. And I think that attacked something that used to scare the daylights out of me. And it was a word that I used a whole bunch. It was the variance between the great Trevor Lawrence plays and the bad Trevor Lawrence plays. They're going to happen. The frequency in which they occur will change and get better as he gets more consistent and as he gets better. And you saw that this year. And not only the frequency of the bad things happening, not only did that go away, but the recovery time from those things went away. Like, it didn't happen and then everybody got into a funk and hung their head, because Trevor realized at some point that everyone is waiting for him. That's just the way it is in football. It shouldn't be that way. Like in basketball, you see everybody standing around watching the go-to guy, as opposed to moving without the ball. So football is a little bit different. Usually the head used to get hang down low, but it didn't happen this year. There were times when Trevor made mistakes. The defense would just buckle down and say, okay, bro, ain't no problem. We got you. We give you the ball right back. And what happened is, as Trevor started to have that short memory, those things started happening less frequently. And then the hangover from those things started to go away and started to only linger for a short period of time. And I think that was because of Liam Coen and his desire to get on to the next play, whether that play is good or bad. It doesn't help you with the next one. And I think that's a very, very critical lesson. It's something actually I can learn in my personal life, meaning we focus so much on overcoming negative things that we don't understand that the next thing we also have to overcome the euphoria of something that we did that was successful. They call it smelling yourself. And I used to use that term a lot on radio, and people didn't really understand or know exactly what it was that I was talking about. Well, you smell yourself is when you bask in your success and you're busy peacocking about something that already happened. When you look at football for what it is, it's really not about what happened before. It's about what's about to happen next. Because that play clock is like 35 seconds. It's almost like dudes getting up pointing at you losing, but you're pointing first down but you're losing now. And it's the last drive and you ain't got no timeout. You better get over that foolishness and get on to the next play. Well, getting on to the next play doesn't necessarily mean getting on to the next play in the game. It's getting on to the next moment. It's moving on to the next thing. And I hope what happens now is they were 13-4. Liam said, we got to start this thing completely over. And Ben Johnson kind of said something very similar in his exit interview. The thing is now we got to take the good from last year and move on to the next year and not let the bad affect you, but not let the good affect you, and not let the fact that the end of the year ended the way it did and it have that affect you. I don't believe in going on this big revenge tour. Shout out to the local football team here, Reigns, that avenged a loss to Miami Northwestern, by the way, here in Jacksonville, where they did it down in Miami. They got blown out in the playoffs 2 years ago, and they said they went on a revenge tour. And I'm sitting there, I was thinking like, ain't no revenge tour. For them it was, and I'm shout out to them. I'm just not personally yoked that way. I feel like this. Whatever happened, happened. You can use it as motivation or whatever. But if you get caught up in it too much and don't realize the job that you have to do in front of you, it could also lose you bad stuff. The way if you end on a good high and it just didn't turn out the way you wanted, like the Jaguars, to sit there and want to be, you can have that revenge on your heart to the point where it's also blinding your focus a little bit. So hopefully the Jaguars will garbage in, garbage out, take the sting from that loss, allow it to motivation, but also use the things that did happen as, look, if you want those things to happen, you have to work this hard. And if you want the result to be even better, you got to work even harder than you did last year in a whole bunch of different areas. Just to move just a little bit, just to get a hand on a ball in the fourth quarter while Josh Allen is driving, or just to get that sack, or catch that ball that popped off of your hands early in the game that would have given you a first down that could have run the clock out. All of those little things are going to matter, and I really, really, really do believe that this regime is going to be able to get that done for Trevor Lawrence. I'm going to tell you why the commitment, not only the commitment that is obvious that this team has to Trevor, but the commitment that they made to Trevor a couple of years ago, even under a different regime, why it allowed the Jaguars to have successful, and why you got to fake it till you make it, even if you haven't made it yet. We'll discuss that in just a second here on Locked On Jaguars. All righty. Today's show is sponsored and brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. FanDuel is officially in playoff mode every game during the NFL playoffs. FanDuel is giving customers even more ways to get in on the action, because right now, every NFL playoff game day, FanDuel users get a profit boost pack waiting for them inside the app. Each game day, you'll see a pack loaded with multiple profit boosts, and you can apply to the bets you like the most. Open your profit boost pack first thing on game day and see what boost you want to apply. The boosts give you more juice on the bets you already like instead of forcing you to bet something new. Every play feels bigger, and the boosts make your bets feel that way too. You make your picks and then apply your profit boost to go after even bigger payouts while the playoffs get rolling. So visit FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL, and grab your profit boost pack every NFL playoff game day. All right, we sliding on through, moving along right here on Locked On Jaguars, where it is your team every day. I'll always be here every day for you because making you my first listen, nothing will change. But if you want a little bit more access, click down in the description wherever you watch or listen and tap into the Everydayers Club. You'll get a little bit more, man. For as less as little as $5, you'll get extra stuff like ad-free shows, audio version of our show, as well as merch store. If you're watching, you see I got this great Locked On shirt. You want to support? There you go. There's a lot of other things in the Everydayers Club. Make sure you tap in and check that out at your discretion. We appreciate you here. We don't take you for granted. Try to give you more, but making sure we don't stop giving you what you already got. And now I'm going to tell you why the commitment to Trevor Lawrence has been very satisfying. And this is even before we realized that it was Doug Peterson and Press Taylor. A lot of y'all going to say, man, I've been knew that. You ain't telling me that. But we had to at least let it play out to talk about whether or not it was Trevor's consistency or not, or why his consistency is what it was. He was very, very inconsistent. And I think Trevor Lawrence would even tell you he got better under Liam Coen, that there were things that they probably asked him to do that he did that may have been asked of him to do before, but he didn't trust it. Because sometimes it's not about what they're asking you to do, it's how much anointing or whatever is, what is it covered in? Like, you got to believe in the person that's asking you to do something. That's the communication aspect of it. I mean, when a coach doesn't come check on me, if I just got a dirty hit from a linebacker from the Texans, I probably wouldn't trust him either, right? So now it appears that everyone is in place to have Trevor's best interest at heart, and he's really, really stepping up to the plate, man, and I believe in him. But there was something that happened. They believed in him, even if it was whether or not it was just based on his talent, based on the fact that it's hard to find quarterbacks. The Jaguars made a commitment to Trevor a couple of years ago. And once they made that commitment to him, they proceeded to move as if they knew they had that guy. And this started before they actually made that commitment. But the commitment to me was the rubber stamp that they were going to move like they had their guy. Even when they drafted Trevor, they felt like they had their guy. It looked good early, and then it started to fall off. The Jaguars never stopped proceeding as a franchise that appeared that they had their guy. Now, why is that significant? Because there are a bunch of organizations that draft as if that they know they don't have their quarterback. Some people even think you don't draft a quarterback until your organization is built correctly. I don't know how you're going to ever build your organization correctly and get it all nested and get it all cushiony so a nice, beautiful quarterback falls into your lap, because if it's all nested in your coaching staff and your offensive line is built, you ain't never really going to pick high enough for one of those dudes to fall to you unless you just absolutely get lucky at the back end of the first round or at some point in one of those later rounds. So I don't really understand what that means. I think by the Jaguars moving, teams that don't have a quarterback, they move differently. Sometimes they won't even take the best player available. They say, well, we ain't got a quarterback, we're not winning, so let's move back and get all of these draft picks so we can have more swings. And they think that having more swings actually means more success. But if you're a bad ball club with a bad front office, no, it just means that you just took the thing that was the most sure likely to happen, like a high draft pick, and moved back into your weakness. And your weakness is being bad at what you do anyway. And then you go start drafting all of these dudes trying to fill all of these boxes instead of just getting game changers and then letting them brick by brick raise everything up around them. So the Jaguars always acted like they had their quarterback, which means they weren't overly trying to go infrastructure. They were trying to weaponize their quarterback. They drafted him. They drafted a running back. They used another draft pick on a quarterback's buddy, which is a tight end. Same draft where they drafted Trevor, they drafted a left tackle. Then they drafted a right tackle. Then they used the first round pick on a wide receiver. And then they made some bad signings, but they signed wide receivers in free agency. So you see, they moved as if they had the dude to be the guy, and then they were just trying to weaponize. They just made bad choices in a lot of those areas. And then they weren't aligned from management through the coaching staff down to the players. So everything wasn't bad about how they went about their business. They just had the wrong people with the wrong messages in place. And then you get somebody else that comes in that's probably even better at personnel, and they're better at finding the glue that allows the coaching staff to be the best of themselves and those players to be the best of themselves, which makes it the best of both worlds from both ways. So, yeah, we finally got proof that Trevor Lawrence has the chance to live up to a lot of what we expected. But we don't have to change the way we think in terms of he was the guy the whole time. Go watch during the draft. Watch, you'll see stuff like, yeah, if I'm this team, ain't no way I'd take him. I'd move it. You got people saying that the Jets and they should move out of, they shouldn't take Mendoza. They should move back and build their team. You got people saying that these teams that don't have quarterbacks shouldn't even take quarterbacks. They needed to build their roster first. I'm telling you, you're going to see. So when you hear that, I'm not saying that people that saying that stuff are wrong, but what I'm telling you, it gives you an idea that teams generally move differently when they're not committed to a quarterback. Whether that quarterback is going to be someone that justifies that commitment or not is not the problem or the point. The point is if they think, or even if they don't think, if they're going to proceed like they have the guy that's a signal caller, they're going to move a lot differently than the team that knows that they don't have the signal caller, because those teams will go more for quantity than quality. The Jaguars brass, albeit Baselli was still in the building, to probably give them some idea of who and what Trevor was. And Liam Coen, being a former quarterback, probably had a book on him anyway and couldn't wait to get his hands on him. And James Gladstone may have had a book on him, and they may have chalked it up to, well, they just couldn't get the best out of him. So all of us get together and they believe in Trevor. My point, what did they do? They traded a couple of first-round picks just to get him a weapon, one of the dudes that's been the most electrifying college football players you've ever seen, and then proceeded to go out and get more weapons, and then traded for more weapons in the middle of the year, and then drafted more running backs. They knew that they were going to have a commitment to Trevor Lawrence. Sometimes you don't have to wait to see if that guy's the guy. That's what I mean by people hedging their bets too much. You can't hedge your bets. You can have a contingency fallback plan, but if you are in personnel, they're paying you to make good decisions. It is not the crapshoot that fans all make it seem out to be. It doesn't mean that you're always going to hit, but what it does mean is the likelihood that you're going to hit, at least you have the same type of people, the same type of character, and from the front office down to the coaching staff, everyone is aligned with the direction that you're going. All of these things tie together is why I think the Jaguars are in a really, really good spot moving forward. We're going to talk more about prospects and positions all next week and on our squad shows. We'll get to all of that. Until then, you guys take care, man. We don't take you for granted. I appreciate y'all joining me here on Locked On Jaguars. Enjoy those conference finals games and have a nice weekend.